Racing Driver Wanted. Nissan powers the search for the next GT Academy star.
Over 7 years, GT Academy has taken the best gamers from around the world and transformed them into professional racing drivers. Winners have gone from virtual to reality, competing around the globe, winning podiums and racing in top classes of biggest races on the planet. The experiment is now the most innovative driver development program in the world and has embraced gamers from over 30 countries to produce more winners than ever. But there have been errors, crashes and failures, and for every podium there have been retirements. Not every winner at GT Academy has made the grade. This year, to make sure they succeed, we'll follow the team as the GT Academy goes back to basics. Roman Zarazan beat over 500,000 gamers who entered GT Academy. He took the checkered flag and won the competition at the race camp in Abu Dhabi. He's now on the intensive driver development program, which aims to improve his driving ability to match the levels of previous GT Academy winners. To achieve this, the coaches are working with the rookie driver, both on and off the track.
Driving quickly is only one small part of the driver development programme. Pretty much every day, whether we're at the track or not, the guys are developing some part of themselves to be better, more rounded racing drivers.
Every day we're doing something different. We're not only just driving cars, we're just immersing our whole life into being a racing car driver.
After arriving at the start, the driver development programme, one of the first activities the drivers must do is a fitness assessment test.
What we're doing today is measuring lots of different physical parameters to identify their strengths and weaknesses. So we're looking at their cardiovascular fitness, their body composition, their reaction time and their strength.
Push, 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 come on, push. Okay, one more. Push, 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 good. A bit more.
The assessment is designed to specifically examine how fit Roman is in areas that will help him as a racing driver.
So throughout the test, I'll be gradually increasing the resistance. So you've got to work really hard. It's a maximal test. Okay, all right, so it's going to be quite tough. Essentially, it's just working on some of the sport-specific areas like core strength, lower leg strength to help braking, and the muscles of the forearms to help with the steering aspect, and the cardiovascular fitness, which will have an impact on their concentration ability in the car, making less mistakes and being able to react better in certain situations. Okay, so it's the first minute, then we go up on this side.
Being physically prepared for what can be upwards of 2 hours in a race car is very important. Probably one of the most underrated elements from an outsider's perspective. I think all the driver does is sit in a car and press a few pedals and steer it around, but physically they are hard to drive, so it's crucial that they are 100% prepared physically, so it doesn't affect them mentally.
To help measure Roman's fitness, he's completing a VO2 max test. This measures how much oxygen he uses during intense exercise.
Push, push.
At the beginning it's okay, but it was harder and harder. At 20 minutes it was really hard.
Roman has showed that the hard work that he put in terms of fitness levels before GT Academy has paid off, and this has given him a head start in the training process.
Coming from a gaming viewpoint rather than a driver, already is quite good. I was expecting someone with a lower level of fitness, but his cardiovascular fitness was quite good, so he's got a good benchmark to work from initially, so I expect that to increase, but it's already quite a good standard.
From the results of the assessment, a tailor-made training program will be made for Roman to help him reach the levels that are required to be a pro racing driver. Well, the graduates are not only working to improve their physical abilities, but also working with physiological skills trainers. They come from Chimp Management.
As an athlete, I see you as two machines. a physical machine. We also know there's another machine at play, and that machine that I'm going to look after is your mind. This machine number 2 can be trained in exactly the same way. If we put time and effort into programming it properly, it'll do whatever you want it to do. The problem that we have a lot of the time in sport is that no one touches it.
We're quite fortunate to have chimp management. It's massively important. We've got limited time to really perform and learn, so if we're in the best frame of mind and we're feeling good, we're obviously going to drive better.
And what were the sorts of thoughts that you were coming up with?
I will be out of control. I was going to screw up.
What it was doing, all chimps love to do this, what if? What if this happens? What if that happens? And we have a big sports team within chimp management that work at a number of the Olympic setups. We work in professional golf, professional tennis, and professional football as well. Our job is to give people insight into how their minds work.
6-time Olympic gold medalist Sir Chris Hoy utilised the chimp technique on his way to becoming Britain's most successful Olympian ever. He's continued using the skills into his motor racing career.
It can help you in any situation. Steve Peters coined the phrase or the philosophy that you call his emotional part of the brain, your chimp. When it's in charge, anything can happen. It could be good, it could be bad. So when you're in extremely pressurised situations, being able to actually not allow your brain to hijack the situation and emotional thoughts or just behaving in a way that you wouldn't want to under pressure.
We've come up with and developed a very simple model that ultimately just explains to you how your brain works. So your mind is a very complicated thing, there's lots going on up there, but we can boil it down to very key, simple components. The first thinking part that we're going to look at is the frontal lobe. This is the part of our brain that deals in logic.
One of the main things the team are working towards is helping new graduates to cope mentally with the new tasks, surroundings and the expectation levels.
These guys come in and worry about the way they're feeling, which is ordinarily slightly overwhelmed, nervous, anxious, eager to improve, perhaps at a rate that is slightly unrealistic. So it's just managing expectations across the board. The more you do it, the more you practice it, the more automatic it becomes, and then you just do it without even thinking. Driving racing cars, exactly the same, exactly the same. So my job is just to give them the information and say, right, this is why it's happening, ultimately, but it can be unhelpful. So with that in mind, here are the tools to help sort of manage it. The drivers that we've worked with for a couple of years now don't consciously go through the steps of managing their chimp. We actually bring in the third and final element of the model, which is the computer. If we program our computer with the right belief systems, it will just take care of things for us. This weekend, all I want you to practice doing is separating human thoughts and chimp thoughts. And on Monday morning, that's what we're going to discuss.
It's not something you can do overnight. You have to work at it like anything else. It's a skill to be able to do.
Ultimately, if they learn the rules of the mind and the way in which the mind works, they'll be in a good position to implement that information and make sure that they can utilise it in a performance environment.
The GT Academy rookies also learn more about racing from right by the side of the track, spending a day working with the marshals of the racecourse.
Race control to post number 6.
Post 6, receiving you, all ready to go.
It's not mandatory, very few people do it. From my point of view, I insist we do it because it really is a solid part of the background to going on in motorsport.
When you spend a day marshalling, you get a ringside seat. You are as close to the action as you could possibly get, so you can watch the other drivers, how they're driving, how they respond to a safety car, how they respond to a yellow flag, do they back off 10%, 20%, so you're always learning.
Roman is helping the marshals at the Stellarton circuit, and within each marshalling post there's a flag marshal, an incident marshal, and working above them is the chief post marshal.
Tracks are split up into zones, and each zone at Snetterton has a marshal's post on it. Generally, we would cover maybe a couple hundred metres of track, keeping an eye on what's happening in the sector before and the sector after as well.
The role of the marshals is really to look after any incidents that happen out on the circuit, to monitor driving standards, to convey information to the drivers by way of the flags.
One of the hardest tasks for a flag marshal is to use the blue flag. This indicates to a driver that a faster car is approaching behind them.
Blue flagging is a very subjective art, because you have to pick out the quicker cars from the slower cars.
It's really hard because you just see the exit of the corners.
Well, that's right.
It's hard to know where is the fastest.
That's when we sort of rely on posts before as well, because if they're holding out a stationary blue flag, which means a car's approaching you from behind but not overtaking you yet, then we know to have the blue flag ready to wave. But you're sort of relying on your your buddies in the post before to help you out.
Yeah, it's really nice to see what they are doing. I'm here to help them, so it's an important work for the safety of the race, so I'm here and I'm ready to act.
Marshalling gives Romain a front row seat to observe other drivers in action.
It's as educational for Romain to be stood here watching as it is to be out on track and learn from us. What are we looking for? For example, we'll be reporting anything from exceeding track limits to spins to overtaking under yellow flags through the radio. So it's good for him to learn what role we give and that there's eyes and ears in every corner of the track, so he's going to struggle to get away with very much.
They do get to see some of the ridiculous things that drivers do, you know, put themselves into danger, put the marshals into danger, gives you that deeper sort of knowledge and understanding of what you really should do as a driver.
It's interesting because we can see the different behavior of the drivers. Some are more fast and aggressive, some are more conservative. I could see what are the consequences of different behavior, and it was interesting.
The cage have to deal with the spectators as well, look after their safety as well as ours. So obviously sometimes spectators don't quite know the right and wrong things to be doing at the racetrack. So trying to put their children down at the bridge and one's throwing stones onto the track. Something to keep an eye on.
It's not been a day of observing the marshals for Romain. Not just that, he's been helping on the track. So the rookie has an insight into how a race event is organised and what happens behind the scenes.
Having that appreciation for what the marshals do behind the scenes is hugely important because they are a crucial part of motorsport, and without them nobody would be able to race.
We're all volunteers. We're doing our best to keep the races going. It just lets them see the whole infrastructure that goes on round about a race. It's not just about a car turning up at track and drivers racing around. There might only be 2 cars to make a race, but you've got 100 marshals to actually have that race meeting get run.
I am really impressed by the job they did because it's a lot of coordination. I am really thankful to them because without them we cannot race.
Well, the day marshalling has not only been a helpful educational tool, but the experience has earned him another important signature towards his International C race licence, taking him one step closer to his dream of becoming a racing driver. Join us next week when we find out what training and testing the rookies do on the track to progress their driving skills.
Racing driver wanted. Nissan powers the search for the next GT Academy star.